I almost didn't want to make this video because I was pretty sure it was just going to be the same comments I've made about DC's movies over and over and over again, and lo and behold, that's pretty much exactly how I felt walking out of Suicide Squad. I think my biggest positive comment was that I enjoyed watching it more than I enjoyed watching Batman vs. Superman, but I don't know how true that is because with a couple hours hindsight, in Batman vs. Superman, there was at least a few moments that I was like, this is cool, especially the moment when they're fighting Doomsday and Wonder Woman joins in the fight and it's the three of them against Doomsday. That was probably my favorite part of the movie. It was about maybe a 5-10 minute battle of them working together. I really enjoyed watching that. So that's the big thing that stands out for me with Batman vs. Superman. With Suicide Squad, there's no real moment that I was like, that was cool. I really enjoyed this 5-minute segment. That was a cool action sequence. There's just not anything like that there. Maybe I didn't enjoy watching it more than Batman vs. Superman. When I first saw the trailers for it, I didn't think it looked that good, but I was hoping it would be because it was a really interesting idea to do with Suicide Squad. Instead of doing the usual heroes, they're doing the, you know, the big bad villains like Harley Quinn, Deadshot. And talking about it, I always felt like this movie, Suicide Squad, needs to be DC's Guardians of the Galaxy. It needs to be fun. It needs to be upbeat. It can, you know, it can be dramatic. It can have dramatic moments, but it needs to be a fun action comedy kind of movie, a lot like Guardians of the Galaxy was. I needed to have fun watching it, and I just didn't. But I could tell there were moments where they couldn't really decide if they wanted to go the action comedy route or if they wanted to go their usual DC melodramatic they've been doing with, you know, both Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. It was like watching two different movies. Every now and then there would be, you know, an upbeat song and some, you know, a fun scene with, you know, the characters with Harley Quinn or with Deadshot or even with Joker, and then the rest of it was just melodrama, and it didn't work well. And them trying to do those two different movies, once again, it just didn't work. Like I've said before, of all the time, DC needs to stay consistent with the kinds of movies they want to make. If they want to make a melodramatic movie, then they need to stick to that. If they want to make something a little more upbeat, then they need to decide and stick to that. And there was just so much in the movie that felt unnecessary. I'm not, you know, an incredibly skilled writer. I'm not the authority on this, but in the classes that I've taken and in the techniques I've learned and, you know, going through writing workshops, one of the big things that is always said is don't write anything if it's not necessary. Don't write anything in the story if it's not necessary. If you want to put something in there but it's not necessary, don't do it. Don't try to just cram everything in there that you want to do because you think it'll be cool if it's not necessary. And that's how I felt about most of this movie. At least probably about half of this movie. There were scenes and characters and moments that were just completely unnecessary, especially the Joker's role. The Joker had purpose in Harley's backstory, obviously to show how Harley Quinn became, or how Dr. Harleen Quinzel became Harley Quinn. But other than that, his involvement in the story, if you took out any of his involvement, it would not change anything. Nothing about the movie would change. Nothing about the story would change. And there were just so many other characters, even the main characters like Katana or Captain Boomerang, who just have absolutely no purpose to be there. There's no big story arc for them. They're just kind of there because I guess they wanted to have those characters in the DC Extended Universe. And it just didn't work. I will say that Margot Robbie did a really good job as Harley Quinn. So I'll give the movie that. Harley Quinn was a good character, and even Jared Leto's version of the Joker, for what they were trying to do, you know, and the character they were trying to present, it worked. For that, it's not what I would like to see the Joker and Harley Quinn as, but I could see what they were doing with it, and they were okay. They definitely had a character and had a specific type of character that they were going for with them, and I think they hit it. But it's not the preferred Joker and Harley Quinn I would like to see, but that's, like I said, that's just preference. I will say I've always had a problem with this. I don't think Joker and Harley's relationship, and I say the word relationship very loosely because what it is, it's an abuser and an abused. Joker is 100% Harley Quinn's abuser. And I don't think that's something that should ever be romanticized. And while they did portray their relationship in this movie definitely very sick and twisted, it also had that hint of romanticism and sexiness, which I don't think is something especially coming from the Joker. We can talk about Harley Quinn's sexual representation and the sexualizing of that character for hours and not run out of content to talk about on that. But especially coming from the Joker, who is just a psychopathic abuser who uses Harley as a toy. I don't think that's something that should be romanticized, and it was what I was worried was going to happen in this movie, and lo and behold, it did. But like I said, for the characters that they were trying to create and portray, I think they did a good job with the characters. I want to say that Will Smith did a good job as Deadshot, but I've seen two types of Deadshot. There's the rich billionaire high-class assassin, and then there's the cowboy. Those are the two Deadshots I've seen the most of. Now I've seen a third one, and this incarnation of Deadshot is just Will Smith. There's no real characterization about it, it's just Will Smith. It's Will Smith acting like Will Smith, wearing Deadshot's clothing and using his guns. He did an okay job in the movie, but I don't want to say that he did a great Deadshot. Like, he was good in the movie, did his lines well. But as Deadshot, there was just nothing else really there. And endangering of repeating myself of what I've talked about DC's movies over and over again, I feel like their biggest problem, especially with this movie and having, a dozen different significant characters and just cramming all of their backstories into an hour and a half, 2-hour movie, that's been their biggest problem, is they don't want to put the work and effort into creating these characters and creating this universe. They want to just jump all the way ahead to the finish line where they have Suicide Squad, where they have Justice League. And again, I hate comparing DC to Marvel, but I'm going to do it. You look at Marvel, they did Phase 1, they did the individual movies, they did the origin stories, and whether people like origin stories or not, what origin stories ultimately give us are connections to these characters. We know who they are, we know who they come from, they know the people in their lives, we know the events in their lives, we know what their motivations are, we know what they've been to by the time we get to Justice League or Avengers or the big, team-up movie. We know these characters. And yes, you could say that, yeah, we know Batman, we know Superman, we know Joker and Harley Quinn, but we don't know this incarnation of them because we haven't seen them. This is the first time we have seen them, and we hardly have any connection to them at all, aside from the little bits we got in the movie, and we're supposed to care about these characters, or we're supposed to like these characters, we're supposed to hate these characters, we're supposed to feel something about these characters, and I just don't, because I haven't been given anything to connect to. I haven't been given anything to see what their motivations are, to see what's behind their story. That is what DC is missing out on by not putting in the time and effort to really get to know these characters. Even in Batman vs. Superman, with as much backstory as we got on Batman and Batman vs. Superman, and yes, we already know Batman, we know his origin story, and we got to know a little bit more about him in Batman and Superman, there's so much we don't know about this new Batman, this new incarnation of Batman that is going to ultimately distance us from him and from these other characters. And it's frustrating. But with all of those criticisms aside, I really feel that maybe I've been a little too hard on DC. I'm not saying that I still don't believe my criticisms, or how I feel about them. But looking at them, Suicide Squad is their third movie. We're not looking at the TV shows, we're not looking at the Dark Knight trilogy, we're looking at everything from Man of Steel on. Suicide Squad is their third movie. The first 3 movies from Marvel were Iron Man, which was a knockout blockbuster, then Incredible Hulk, which was pretty bad, and then Iron Man 2, which, even though I really enjoyed it, it's actually probably my favorite Phase 2 movie, a lot of people didn't really like it. And then you had Thor, which, again, not that great. It was just kind of lukewarm movie. And then Avengers just kicked everything off. So I'm willing to cut DC a little bit of slack because it is their third movie. Again, we're not talking about all of the DC movies of the past. We're talking about Man of Steel on. It's their third movie in their new way of doing this, and they're trying to build this universe. And they are trying to build it differently than Marvel did it because they don't want to do what Marvel did. And I get that, but maybe they should, because it works. Instead of trying to do all of these other things that they think is going to work and shove them into a movie, they're basically taking an entire pot of spaghetti and throwing it against the wall, hoping something sticks, and so far nothing has stuck. It's their third movie, and so far it's 0 for 3 of good movies. They have not done a good movie yet. And they need to. Hopefully Wonder Woman will be good. Hopefully Justice League, but especially after Suicide Squad, and they're basically trying to do the same thing that they did with Suicide Squad, that they're going to do with Justice League, just kind of cram all these big characters into one movie. I worry even more about it. I don't think it's going to be good. The Suicide Squad, on the one hand, I am actually disappointed. Not disappointed in the movie itself, because it was really everything I expected it to be. But I'm disappointed because I really did want this movie to be good. I wanted this movie to be the thing that picks up DC. I really wanted it to be good. I wanted to enjoy it. And I just didn't. I was disappointed in that fact. But I'm also kind of satisfied because I was once again right about DC's movie. I was once again right, and I'm kind of I feel a sense of satisfaction in that, and I hate that. Because, like I've always said, I want DC, I want to be a fan of DC again. I really, really do. But they're making it so difficult. What did you think of Suicide Squad? Let me know in the comments, and follow me on all the internets, and share the video so others can join in the conversation. Follow me on Patreon if you want to support more of my content, and check me out on templeofgeek.com if you want to see other creators and more content. Subscribe to my channel so we can geek out some more, and thanks for watching. Have fun. So Captain America, Thor, Hulk.